How are you, everybody? Merry Christmas, season's greetings, happy holidays, and all that good stuff. From me, hi, I'm Kevin Smith. How are you? Okay, this is my 50th Christmas, kids. 50th Christmas on this best of all possible earths. And this year, of course, we were all spread out. Me and my family. Is the first Christmas that I've spent without my daughter since she's been born. Her and her boyfriend are in Dallas working on a freeform TV show. So it was just me and my wife Jen here. Her parents who live with us, they were at their place in Nevada, and so we were all separated and whatnot. And it's a weird Christmas for us. But rather than let it be weird and focus on the mopey nature of like, oh man, I'm not doing what we normally do every year and stuff like that. I'm gonna flip the script and share a Christmas gift with you folks. If you're into my shit. Otherwise, you might be like, I don't give a fuck about this. But this is my Christmas wish for you. May you get to be you in this life and do exactly what you want to do. Unless what you want to do is like kill people, hunt humans. Don't do that. Then I hope you never get that. But if you have simple, basic wishes, like I want to be a storyteller, like fucking that dude, he's been doing it for over 25 years and he's not very good at it. Why can't I be like a Kevin Smith? You can, kids. It's absolutely possible. But this is what my Christmas wish to you is: you get to be everything you want to be. But my Christmas advice to you is to take notes, keep a journal, because you never know like when it'll come in handy or when it'll pop back into your life. Quick story. Years ago, me and my friend Vincent Pereira went to see Bad Lieutenant at the Angelica Film Center in Manhattan. And that was where I first saw Slacker. Made me want to be a filmmaker on my 21st birthday, August 2nd, 1991. That's important. That's the moment that I'm like, I want to be a director. I want to be a filmmaker. Vinny was the first person I ever knew wanted to be a filmmaker. Like he had the dream before I did. He knew that people could do that sort of thing. I thought you had to come from Hollywood to do that sort of thing. So Vinny plays a big role in Clerks ever getting made because I meet Vinny. He's the mop boy at Quick Stop at nights. He comes in from 9 to 10:30, mops the floor and shit. So Vinny's the one that's like all about film, knows about aspect ratios, and he wants to grow up to be a director. And I was like, you gotta be from Hollywood for that sort of thing. He's like, no. So in my mind, me and Vinny go see Bad Lieutenant at the Angelica. Vinny's car gets robbed, his trunk gets broken into, and that's where I had this canvas Warner Brothers script bag that I had, where I stored, my papers. It was like my man bag or my book bag or something. Had my bills and my checkbook. There was no cell phones. I didn't have that. There was no laptops. I didn't have that. So notebooks, papers, comic books. I'd carry a lot of comic books to read in any given moment notice. That bag got stolen from Vinny's trunk when we went to see Bad Lieutenant and whatnot. And in that bag was a notebook in which I started what would become Clerks, in a book that I was calling Inconvenience. And in my memory, that book was stolen with the rest of the stuff in the bag, and I never saw it again. And then just this week, ladies and gentlemen, I found it. I was digging through some shit, and I found the damn book. This is a composition notebook. Look at that. This is my real cursive writing. Kevin Smith, old PH, grade 8. It was for classwork. But what it became about is this. Inconvenience, a story of goods and bads. Pun, the journal. And it says, being a young screenwriter's notebook, journalizing the construction of his first serious effort at filmic writing. What an overwordy douchebag young Kevin Smith was. This is the book, kids. This is the book. In my mind, I was like, well, that book's gone. That was the book that when I was on a train to Pittsburgh to go visit my girlfriend back then, I wrote some dialogue. It's gone forever. It's not gone forever. It's literally here. And there's an entry, listen to this, where I say, like, I'm on a train, where I literally say, where is it? Where is it? October 29th, 1991. I'm on a train. So guess where this scene comes from? Connie and Darren behind the counter. There was no Dante and Randall. They were called Connie and Darren in Inconvenience. And then the scene that I wrote is a scene from a different movie altogether. It was from Chasing Amy, where they're sitting there and watching people make out in the car. It was a cut scene from Chasing Amy. So, holy shit, what a mind bender. But more importantly, August 2nd, 1991, I go see Slacker. That's the day where I'm like, I'm going to be a filmmaker and stuff. So that's how I remember everything. This journal was started on July 1st, 1991, like a full month and a day before I see Slacker. So when I start this journal, I'm not thinking about being a filmmaker. I'm thinking about writing a script about working in a convenience store. Then a month later, I see Slacker, and I was like, you know what? I think I could direct it too. So I'm just going to share with you the opening passage of this here notebook to show you what a young Kev Smith was thinking about. And hopefully this will inspire you to be like, I sound like that dude. Like, oh my God, why can't I do it? And then you'll figure out oh my God, I can do it. I don't need permission. I don't need help. I can pull shit together myself because Kevin Smith's a fucking chimp and he figured this out 26 years ago. So I bet you I can figure this out right now. So this will help you build your confidence, because this is what the guy who wanted to make a movie not called Clerks, but called Inconvenience. Vinny, thank the Lord, stopped me from calling it Inconvenience. Vinny was the first one to be like, title's a little precious. He's like, it's a little on the nose, don't you think? Very punny, Inconvenience. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll call it something else. And one day we were working at the stores on a quick stop. Vinny was at RST Video. He wrote down a bunch of potential names for what, the movie could be called. And one of the names of the 6 or 8 funny names, they were all very sarcastic and stuff. One of the names was Rude Clerks. And that made me laugh so hard because I'm like, oh my God, that literally describes the whole fucking movie. Like, they're rude clerks. And it was a joke, but then I was like, but you drop the rude, and Clerks is a pretty fucking cool title. It really just fucking explains everything, doesn't it? So back before it was Clerks, when it was just Inconvenience, this is the first entry in this book on July 1st, 1991. So this July, this will be 30 years old. So almost 30 years ago, 29 and a half years ago, this is what I was thinking. This was me plotting the rest of my life. Let's see how close I get. Ready? July 1st, 1991. After about 2 days worth of hearty procrastination in regards to this endeavor, on this very day before the sneak preview of Terminator 2, that places us in time and history, I finally take the time to begin what I'm curious to see what might metamorphosize into a filmable screenplay. Inconvenience. Listen to this douchebag. Oh my God, he loves the sound of his own voice, even though he ain't talking. He loves words. He's a little wordsmith. He believes, and I still believe it to this day, the young Kevin Smith believed it, and old Kevin Smith believes it. There's no such thing as sorcery or wizardry. Sorry, with all apologies to J.K. Rowling. No apologies to J.K. Rowling. We know there's no such thing as magic spells and magic words. But when you write, there is a form of magic words, man, because you put words together, and then like an incantation, you give it to somebody, they read it or they hear it, and it changes their mood. It changes how they feel. They can laugh, cry, be moved, taken on a journey, learn something and whatnot. If that ain't the very definition of magic words, I don't know what is. So there are wizards and warlocks and fucking sorcerers and sorceresses out there, kids. They're called writers. They're called creators. Very people on this platform, Facebook or on YouTube, people who are like, I'm going to make a thing. Anybody who makes a fucking thing is a fucking creator, man. And you're all wizards and witches and warlocks and sorcerers and sorceresses because you got them magic words. You can create your own universes. All right. Let me give you the rundown. He's so courteous, this young Kev Smith. He's going to let us know where we are in the story. And the story is just beginning. Is the day before we go see the sneak preview for Terminator 2, for fuck's sake. Let me give you the rundown. About 3 months ago, the title came to me in Wonder of Wonders, Work. Since then, it's been applied to a surreal story about late night convenience store work, featuring a cast of bizarre and moderately neato characters. I stole that moderately neato from George Carlin. A potential sitcom when I considered taking a one-day seminar in New York City. I don't remember that. Me dreaming about making a sitcom. A film short. That makes sense. And eventually an abandoned brainstorm thrown atop a pile of countless abandoned brainstorms that had been birthed in a flash of brilliance and relinquished with little afterthought. This fucking guy. Boy, does he love words. And then Vincent Pereira. Vinny, my muse, said something. We were at work, not working, and he was having me relate the tragic tale of Brian, that's Brian Johnson from Tell Him Steve Did, Brian's love affair du jour with Laura. The narrative, soap operatic though it may be, had my companion riveted. Vinny was riveted. The story was apparently compelling. And in the middle of it, Vincent says, and I quote, "You should make this into a screenplay set here in the store, like Metropolitan." We were big fans of Whit Stillman's movie Metropolitan. Vinny Pereira not only like taught me about film, but Vinny apparently is the guy that was like, you should make a movie in this store. I mean, I know Vinny was deep in my origins and stuff, but like, thank God I found this. I could pinpoint like fucking moment in time where all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I should write a script based in a convenience store. I thought, this story about strained friendships set in a convenience store? Inconvenience? Bingo. And it was born, and I saw what it was, and it was good. So we definitely have a setting, and after much thought, I came up with a story, of which there is little. A Day at the Stop. For this, a huge nod goes to Spike the King Lee. I'm a big Spike Lee fan. And his masterpiece, Do the Right Thing, one of my favorite movies ever made. I have a feeling a lot of nods are going to go to this man and his films because, as Flavor Flav says, look at me, name dropping Flavor Flav, Spike's the one you like. The man makes incredible films that are from frame one to fade out, uniquely his own, and this has served as inspiration for myself and my film. So I saw Do the Right Thing, and for some reason I was like, I could be a filmmaker. I've never made Do the Right Thing. I'll tell you, anything nearly as good as Do the Right Thing. But I have made movies set in the span of one day, and that's about as close as I get. But enough ass kissing about my movie. Let's talk about my movie. We have a where, quick stop, a convenience store, a when and a what, the average day. Now we need a slew of who's, and I think I've got a couple. Our main character is me. Not me, Kevin, but me, the beleaguered, misanthropic youth who runs a small Indian-owned and operated convenience store. I thought of myself as misanthropic in July of 91. I'd go figure. Let's see. He's cantankerous. He's sarcastic. He sounds more like Randall. He's 21 or so. His life is spent there and in the video store, which his bosses also own. So he's developed an underlying enmity for every person that comes through the door. That kind of describes Clerks. He's smug and ultra condescending. God forbid you say something halfway not in the know. For example, somebody in the video store asking for Batman 2, which sends our hero into convulsive shudders of disgust. Do you have an inside line to Warner Brothers that the rest of the world doesn't know about? Oh my God, how droll. He's a lover of literature, film, cartoons. He wears Bugs Bunny shirts and comic books. Describes my whole fucking life. The rest of my life after I made Clerks as well. Holy shit. A plot device that could be interesting should one of his comic books get damaged. I saved that from all that. Comics. There are only a few people he does willingly converse with, but the rest he looks down on. The burden of his being. In short, he can't be bothered by life. He's too wrapped up in his microcosm. That does kind of sound like fucking Dante and Clerks. On to Bry's character. So I knew I was basing a character on Brian Johnson. He's the flip side of my own. Bry has a cheery disposition, blithe. Now that's ridiculous because in real life, Bry was the negative misanthrope and I was the cheery disposition guy. But in writing a character based on me, I wanted to be the anti-hero rather than the straight arrow fucking lead guy. And we know how that turned out. He always has a kind word for the customers. Yeah, that sounds like Brian Johnson. He's the fave rave at the quick stop. No, see, I flipped all this. This became Dante. The perennial good guy as opposed to my forever sour anti-hero. Bry should be a composite, like in New York Magazine. That's a direct steal from the movie Metropolitan. Shout out to Whit Stillman. Should be a composite of Brian himself, a bit of bellicose, my friend Mike Bellicose, and my nicer side. He's in love with this girl that my character had gone with, and this may or may not be causing tensions. Kev's character and Bry's character are good friends, and people have to wonder why, since they're so diametrically opposed. That very much sounds like Dante and Randall, but I didn't do the whole, like, there's a girl between them thing. Thank God. That's so trite. But that was the only thing going on in my life at that time. So I was like, Vinny said, that'd make a good movie. I was like, all right, fucking let's do that. See? Listen to your friends, kids. Unless they're like, let's do crimes, then don't listen to your friends. Unless they're like, they're victimless crimes, and then, let's see. Through dialogue, we learn that Brian and Kev were once very much alike, but the introduction of love has metamorphosized Brian into a congenial soul. So there it was. My Randall character was getting sweet because he was in love. Kev finds difficulty in comprehending Bry's change of heart. But Brian understands that Kev's misogyny, doesn't sound like misogyny to me, apparently I didn't know what that word meant, is only superficial. There you go. He loves a woman, but there are complications between them, so he curses the whole because of the one. Instead of getting emotionally involved, sounds like one of them incels. Oh, apparently fucking my character was an incel before the incel movement began. Let's see. He loves a woman. I did that. Instead of getting emotionally involved, the Kev character just gets laid. That's fucking movie wishful thinking right there. And I might want to include that as well. A good down and dirty backroom sex scene. Convenience store work isn't all milk and eggs, He literally wrote that. Nearly 21. In a month from now, he'll be 21 years old. So 20-year-old Kev just wrote that line. I smell a fight scene toward the end. That fucking stayed. That idea made it all the way through to the end. Between the two friends, as Kev says, just one thing too much and Bry loses it. And that became the reverse. Randall's did one thing too much and Dante lost it. I see chips tumbling and pretzels getting crushed while the duo, because DVD didn't exist yet, the duo have their all-out free-for-all brouhaha, and the customers looked on shocked. Next up is the Vin Man's character. This one will probably be the hardest to get on the page due to the fact that Vinny himself is almost too erratic and volatile to get a lead on. Good Lord. He should have more in common with the Kev character. The guy almost never works, although his duties are meager at best. He's too preoccupied with conversation to do his work, and he spends almost all of his time reading the various magazines. So there was going to be a third character in Clerks, Vinny's character, but then eventually it just, in the script, when this is Inconvenience, when it became Clerks, just Dante and Randall. He's too preoccupied. He is highly intellectual, but not very worldly. That describes all my characters and me, and is somewhat cynical and misanthropic, but not nearly as much as the Kev character. He is a foil for much of Kev's observation. Sounds like a Elias relationship. It sounds like a Randall Elias relationship, which would come years later in Clerks 2. Typical banter. Kev says, and it's my lot to allow my genius to stagnate. Is it my lot? No, he goes, and it's my lot to allow my genius to stagnate as I wait on the dregs of society. And Vinny says, there's always dominoes. Thank God that dialogue didn't wind up in Clerks because it's not very good. The customers will be many and varied, but I don't want to go into them now. I'm done. In fact, for now, I'll say this. I do know how the film will end, and it ain't pretty. Isn't that fucking nuts? That's the very seeds of the rocket ship that would change the rest of my life. I was building a rocket ship. I was trying to get to another planet where, they made movies and indie film exists and stuff like that. And that's how the journey began. It goes on. Would you like to hear some sample dialogue between Connie and Kurt? Here, I'll read you one more page. Here we go. Minutes before July 2nd, 1991. I was on a roll. I wrote the next night as well. Shakespearean quotes. I want to include them in the dialogue. It will just add a classy touch. I sound like a New Jersey mobster. That's classy. And the movie game. We play that a great deal, and I'm sure many do the world over. Mind you, this is before the internet, 1991, so I didn't know what the rest of the world did. And the movie game is like, you say, we need a bigger boat, and somebody goes, Jaws. That's simple. But we didn't wind up doing that in the movie, but they talked in movie dialogue. And my character, who now is called Conrad, Connie for short, so Dante was meant to be Connie, has a very anti-collegiate edge, just like the author. In fact, it's not anti-collegiate so much as anti-college fever. His ex goes to a college and is buried knee-deep in extracurricular activities, and Connie hates that shit. So here's some sample dialogue. Connie goes, she's a fucking spirit bunny. And Kurt, who apparently is Randall, says she's someone else's spirit bunny. And that's, thank God I didn't use that fucking line of dialogue. And then it says, in every 20 minutes, new coffee is being brewed. Wow. Wow, kids. Number one, I thought this was lost to the ages and gone in a garbage can in the streets of Manhattan after Vinny's car got broken into. But here it is. And apparently I was thinking about writing a convenience store screenplay before I was thinking about directing it, before I thought about like, oh, I could do this myself. I was just like, I'm going to write this screenplay and then hopefully somebody will one day make it. Well, kids, don't wait for hopefully, don't wait for someday, don't wait for anybody. No help's ever coming. I hate to break this to you on Christmas, but you want to count on somebody, make your dreams come true, count on yourself, count on a good handful of friends who will be there for you thick and thin. And together, even though you're a bunch of rubes and idiots, you could build something that changes your life. That's what we did. We didn't know what we were doing. We were absolute beginners, man. We were amateurs and stuff. But you heard exactly what that amateur sounded like and what his dreams were and how close he fucking got. Please, as we leave this horrible fucking 2020 and head to 2021, remember this, because this is the year where you make your Clerks, whatever that is, whether it's a movie or fucking knitting a blanket or fucking dropping a bunch of weight. It begins in 2021, kids. And I don't mean dropping weight if that's your thing, but getting healthier. It's all possible. And start writing shit down. Maybe not longhand, use your laptops and shit, but keep notes from this time that predicates change. You'll want to revisit it. I promise you. And also, this has nothing to do with me or my work, but my advice to you here on Christmas Day is try to always live your life like you're Bill Murray in the last 10 minutes of Scrooged. Don't be the shitheel he was the whole movie. Be the guy or the girl who comes around and goes, I get it now. I get it. That's how I try to live my life. Every damn day. Like I'm Bill Murray in the last 10 minutes of Scrooged. Thank you all for hanging out and listening to this sentimental journey of the seeds of what became Clerks. I'll keep reading it over at That Kevin Smith Club. If you've not seen it, come join us at thatkevinsmithclub.com. But failing that, thank you all for the support all year long. Thanks to everyone who came to movies. Thanks to everyone who wrote about, man, I wish movies was coming to me. In 2021, it may be coming your way. And thanks for continued interest in my bullshit, man. This kid, he dreamed of this. He dreamed of you, that he would make stuff that would connect with people who would then follow his work and be like, oh, I love Kevin Smith. I'm a Kevin Smith person, the same way I was like a Spike Lee person or a Hal Hartley person. And that wish came true. So thank you, all of you, for making that wish come true, man. You were who I was thinking about when I was writing these notes, that potential audience. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Season's greetings, happy holidays and stuff. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, all of those. Happy Festivus to the rest of us and stuff. And in 2021, let's just try to be a little kinder to everybody. It was a little rough fucking year last year. I mean, think about how rough your year was. Everybody had a year that was as bad, if not worse. So as we head into 2021 in like a week's time, let's try to give each other the benefit of the doubt, try to be kinder, try to make some stuff, try to make our mark in 2021, and not in a negative way, in a good way. Go be creative. Don't be destructive. Two paths in this world: destruction, creation. Destruction path is crowded, kids, because it's easy to break things down, destroy, mock, blah, blah, blah. Creation path, wide open. All lanes are open. You can cruise because it takes a little bit more. It takes commitment. It takes giving something of yourself to be creative. And a lot of people, just aren't willing to do that. But the good news for you is that means it's not crowded. That means you get on that freeway of creativity, man, you drive. For the rest of your life, you just keep making stuff until one day you drop dead. Can't think of a better way to live this best of all possible lives. Merry Christmas, everybody. From the guy who a lot of people are like, why? What the fuck ever happened to Silent Bob? I liked him better when he was quiet. From Chatty Kev, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. And it's maybe awkward for some of you, but, I'm going to end it awkward. I love you all. Merry Christmas.